fastest show in sports.
You've got a lot of people out there in college football right now who are claiming it's getting expensive. You got universities out there who are claiming we need some relief. We need the government to get involved. We need to run NIL better. We need some laws, if you will, because there's too much money being spent. We have to spend $20, $30, $40 million here, and we just don't have it. There's bullshit. You have it. These universities have it. They have this money. But the problem with it is college athletic programs have been pissing money away for decades because they go out, they get all enamored with a certain head coach or a certain idea. They go out and hire him. They bring him in, and they sign him to a contract that has a buyout clause. And the coach is good for them. They're making good money out of it. But every time you hear a college football program, a college athletic program, screaming about the fact that this is costing us too much money, blame them for a change.
Carolina Panthers coach Matt Rule, once hailed as the team builder the struggling franchise needed, is out. But getting fired might not be so rough if you've got the right contract. Here's a look at football coaches with losing records and winning contracts by the numbers. Rule was shown the door this week after his 1-4 start to the season failed to show promise of improving the team's losing streak under his more than 2 years of leadership. But the once much hyped coach, whose 7-year contract for $62 million sent shockwaves through the NFL, won't be leaving any money on the table. He'll be getting more than $40 million over the next 2 years to do absolutely nothing. Over in the NCAA, ousted college coaches are also reaping rewards for their losses. Wisconsin coach Paul Chryst is getting an $11 million buyout after being fired earlier this month. Fired Nebraska coach Scott Frost is getting nearly $16 million to not coach the Huskers. And former Arizona State coach Herm Edwards is fighting the terms of his dismissal to get paid the $8 million remaining on his deal. Meanwhile, at Texas A&M, $86 million is how much the school would have to pay coach Jimbo Fisher to leave. The school hired him in 2018 with promises of playoffs and titles. So far, he's failed to deliver, but the Aggies seem to be opting to keep him on the field rather than suffer the astronomical cost of a buyout. Shocking sums of money for a few. It would appear that failure does pay.
It does pay. And as we know, that report was in 2022, and Jimbo Fisher was bounced. And Jimbo Fisher did get tens of millions of dollars to go away. And now he's basically sitting on his ass enjoying life because he's getting paid to do absolutely nothing. It is endemic. Look, you have these coaches right now, as we're sitting here talking. Troy Taylor at Stanford, Deshaun Foster at UCLA, Brent Pry at Virginia Tech, Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, Sam Pittman at Arkansas, Trent Bray at Oregon State, and then James Franklin this last weekend at Penn State. Every single one of these coaches is getting money to sit on their ass for the rest of their lives if they want. Massive buyouts, tens of millions of dollars. And what we have right now is college athletics, and again, I'm not just saying football because this affects everybody. They're saying, we need help. We can't pay for Title IX programs because we're having to pay too much NIL money. We can't pay to have the men's intramural volleyball team play anymore or travel because we're spending too much money on college football. They're the ones doing it. The players are doing it. They're taking too much money out of our pockets. We don't have the money anymore. Yes, you do. Every single one of these major colleges has gobs of money. See, that's the other thing, too. I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine about the University of Florida, and there's no doubt whatsoever that Billy Napier is going to get fired sooner or later, and he's going to have another massive buyout that he's going to collect when he walks out the door. And my friend is a big Gator, and he knows the intricacies very well. When we started to talk about Napier and the money that was involved, he said, oh, they've got the money. That's always what the fans will say and other people will say, oh, they've got the money, don't worry about it. 30, 40, 50, 60, $80 million? No, they got it. They can pay him. But that money can be used for the entire athletic program. It can be used for the women's basketball and volleyball team. It can be used for the men's baseball and golf team. It can be used to help make up all these deficits because you have college athletics right now that claims to have these massive deficits. The reason they've got it is because they've got 10, 50, 100, $200 million sitting out there that's dead money. And don't tell me that it's all been allocated. That's going to be the next excuse. Oh, they've allocated for that. But it doesn't make a difference. That money can still be used for something viable. That money can still be used for something practical. You can still use it to build an athletic program. Now, on the other side of things, people are going to say, well, I'll tell you what, Ed, if you want to hire XYZ coach, you got to give him that buyout because most of these contracts don't last. Look, Lou Saban, I think it was a 10-year contract extension where he was going to be there until what? 2030, 2034, something like that. And he just up and retired not long after he signed another contract extension. So you're going to say, look, if you want to get the great coaches, you got to give them the promise of a buyout so they can go where they want. Most of them go where they want anyway. A lot of these coaches, look how quickly coaches jump jobs in college football. They'll take a job for a year or two and they get bounced. They'll take a job for a year or two and they'll leave for the next school or the next school or the next school. And they'll just keep doing it, which is fine. That's the way America is. You are allowed to make as much money as you possibly can, as quickly as you can, because it's a capitalistic society. But in the same breath, somebody's got to be responsible for the money somewhere, that the money can be used to actually do something good, something viable in the athletic program. So stop paying these guys $86 million. $86 million. Just think about that for a minute. That's mind-blowing. That's money that basically you could take 10% of that money, take 90% of the money that you've just been handed, you could give it to charities, you could save thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of lives with that money, and you could still live off $8 million. What are you going to do with $86 million? I mean, after a while, it becomes kind of ridiculous. So stop giving these coaches these ridiculous buyouts and start putting the money where it can do some good. And if the coach says, oh, I'm not going to come play for you then, I'm not going to come coach your team, okay, get the next one. But then again, there's the catch-22. Because if you do that and you miss a really good coach, you won't win. And you won't get 8, 9, 10 wins. You won't contend for the conference championship. You won't contend for the national championship, which means you won't make any of that big money. You won't get any of that big share. You won't get a lot of the TV dollars. See, it's a vicious circle. And it's all about money. But in one sense, it's about a lot more than money. What we have in college football specifically are chancellors and presidents and athletic directors who get so overwhelmed about getting certain players, certain guys who can become their coach. Holy crap, think for a minute if you're at UAB and you had a chance a couple of years ago to get Trent Dilfer. Why would you not get Trent Dilfer? I mean, the guy's got to know what he's doing around college football, right? Right?
And Will Carroll, terrible punt off the side of his foot. That never even crossed midfield. And there is a penalty flag down as well.
Illegal substitution, defense, 12 men in formation. That five-yard penalty results in a first down.
An unbelievable mistake by UAB's defense, and Trent Dilfer beside himself.
Yeah, in that situation, as a head coach, that can't happen. It's unacceptable to not have the right number of guys on the field.
Well, you think about Hughes and that effort on the third down screen pass, and then with 12 men on the field, that's a 5-yard penalty on 4th and 3.
The top of the screen, he actually gets off the field.
That's what everybody's missing in this. The 12th man actually was off the field before the snap of the football. But look, getting back to the whole issue here, UAB had a chance to bring Trent Dilfer in. He had never coached college football in his life. Yes, a professional football player, a guy with some measure of worth in the National Football League. But they get all excited bringing Trent Dilfer. He's going to change the program. And they couldn't wait to get rid of him. Because basically that's the guy that you want as your head coach with that kind of a mentality, going after coaches and players on the sideline in a game and freaking, look, this man's got some problems. There's no two ways about it. Trent Dilfer's got some issues when you go after somebody like that. But UAB got all jacked up and all excited because we can bring him in. We can actually have a Trent Dilfer at the top of the banner right there, and that'll help bring in money, help bring in sponsors, help bring in fans. It's the same thing that North Carolina has done with Bill Belichick. Instead of going for somebody, and Belichick had never coached a college game in his life, but instead of going somebody with college football experience, because college football is an animal unto itself. It is not just NFL light. That's what happens. A lot of people figure, well, he's been around the NFL, so he knows how to coach football. So obviously he'd be great for these kids. He can give them a pro mentality. College is entirely different. And that's why Belichick is failing right now, is because he came in with an NFL mentality into a college football program. It doesn't work. You still need that college football experience. And not only that, but then Bill brought in a lot of his own people who basically had no college football experience either, and have helped screw that franchise up. Yeah, call them a franchise, if you will. Call them a team. Call them whatever you want. But he's helped screw it up because he didn't know how to do college football. Trent Dilfer didn't know how to do college football. And therefore, UAB wasted a few years, several $1 million, and then they got to start all over again. They need to start taking some time to go after the coaches that have earned it. The assistant coaches, the ones who have put in the work, the ones who have put in the time, the ones who have been there in the trenches, the ones who know how to work college football, who know how to work the transfer portal, who know what NIL is all about. To take the game in its essence right now and be able to manage it properly. That's not somebody who's never been there before. That's not somebody who just comes from the NFL because they were a great quarterback or somebody who was a Super Bowl winning coach in the NFL. Doesn't happen. College football shoots itself in the foot every single day, every single season. These programs that are out there that are always whining about the fact that they don't have enough money, or we're running out of money, or we're having to spend too much money by giving guys too much in buyouts. The fact of the matter is, you're the ones screwing things up right from the outset because you don't make good choices. You make these Hollywood choices, if you will, because people with names bring them in, and that's destroying your program. That's what sets your program back. And yeah, just because you bring in somebody, if somebody has 10 years as an assistant coach in college football, doesn't mean they're going to be a great coach, a great head coach. But you can pick through them. They've paid their dues. They're the ones who can say, okay, I can come in and know what I'm doing here. Are they going to make changes? Yes, in just about every instance. And that's what they're fearing right now in Penn State. You're going to have somebody come in, they'll clean out the coaches, they'll clean out the players, they've got a whole new idea on how to do things, and it might take another 2 years. College football, college athletics keeps setting itself back by having these one step forward and two step back kind of ideas here about coaches. Spend some more time, get better people, have better interviews, find out what you need. Stop being all jacked up and jerked off about having a real big Hollywood coach in here that's going to save the program. Because in essence, you're going to do more damage to the program than you could have if you actually tried to save it. So stop hiring the Dilfers and the Belichicks of the world and go after some of these assistants who really have earned the chance to be head coaches. And yeah, maybe there's still going to be a season or two where you won't win, but I guarantee you, you'll do better in the long run because you got somebody there who knows how to play the game and knows how the game is played.
Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.